Welcome back to TalkNorth.com. Thank you for listening. If you can, please download before you listen. It helps our business. I'd also like to thank our producer, Brandon Morton, and let you know if you'd like to sponsor this program or any of the programs on the network, you can reach me at jsouhan47@gmail.com.
Yeah, yeah, oh yeah, what condition my condition was in.
I woke up this morning with the sun down, shining in.
Welcome back to Roy Smalley's Chin Music, part of the TalkNorth.com podcast network. The network's got a lot of shows on it right now, including a new business show. Check out TalkNorth.com. Subscribe at iTunes, your favorite podcast app. Download if you can. It's a better listening experience. Also helps the business. Thanks to Roy for joining again. Thanks to BerryCoffee.com, Whizkids.tech, your local everything you need for the cloud and computer set for your business, and Tony Hoaglund, your State Farm agent in Champlin. Roy, people hate me even more than usual right now.
Is that possible?
Because apparently it is possible. I didn't think it was possible, but apparently it is. People aren't angry because I actually said, well, Twins have been a bad team. I don't see a ton of hope for improving dramatically. I don't see a ton of hope in a year where the wild card is not going to be available to them for chasing down a very good Cleveland team. So I was generally supportive of at least the philosophy of trading people away during the season. People are not happy with me, Roy.
Well, it's easy to be a general manager when none of the consequences of your decisions matter. You know, I have found that to be generally true. And they're trying to make the best decisions possible, but with who they have on the roster, both big league and down through all the way to rookie ball. And as we talked about last time, you have to be prudent with the dollars that you spend on big league players, and then with the amount of talent that you have in the minor leagues that will ultimately become big league players that help you win, or that you can trade for big league play, as part of a package that will you can trade for big league players that will help you win. And we looked at all the people that were not sellers, were buyers, all the teams. They had minor league players that they were able to package to get big league players that they felt like were going to help them win. The Twins have not had that luxury in a long time. They were bereft of talented bodies throughout the system. So two things are incumbent upon them: draft really, really well here going forward, and get a whole ton of talent, and hope that some of them really hit in terms of being big league players, either for you or for somebody else that you can use as assets. That's what they're trying to do. And if you're not going to be able to sign Brian Dozier, which I don't think you were going to be able to do at a reasonable price, then you can't just lose him. You got to get something. And similarly for Escobar and Ryan Presley and Zach Duke and Lance Lynn, and ultimately now Fernando Rodney.
Sports are about percentages, and last year the Twins traded away two players and miraculously got hot and had about five people have the best half season of their lives, and they earned a wild card spot, and it was a blast. It was an absolute blast. It was great. But that's like hitting on 18, in blackjack. You get a 3 one time. It doesn't mean that's a good strategy. It means it happened to work that one time. It doesn't mean you want to plan your life, your finances around it. And that, percentages, they've got 12 new prospects. They're not all going to make it. Some are going to be disappointed. Some are going to get hurt. If they get 3 good players help them win in the future, and maybe 3 guys they can trade elsewhere, then that, to me, that will justify the particular moves. And I'm already on board with the philosophy of it.
So if we look at what they did in 2016, and it was terrible.
Yes.
And then in 2017, it was mediocre at best until the last 2 months of the season. And to your point, they caught fire and literally slugged their way into the playoffs. They didn't pitch their way there. They slugged their way into the playoffs. And then when they got in the playoffs, the ace got beat by the Yankees. So we don't really know whether they had enough to go beyond that. We don't know about their pitching. We suspected about their pitching, so they went out and got pitching. So you have a full season of not much offense, a full season and a half. You have a half a season of fantastic offense, and then you have a half season of mediocre offense again, albeit with better starting pitching at least, and it hasn't gotten any better. So they look at that and they say, what have we got here? Even with Dozier and Escobar and Presley, what have we got? We've got in 3 seasons, basically, all of 16, all of 17, so 2.5 seasons. We have 1/2 season of really exciting baseball, and we have 2 seasons of not. So what have we got? We've got the center fielder of our future we don't know about. We have the third baseman stud of our future. We had to send him to A-ball. And we have what we think is going to be a stud right fielder, at the time hitting .227. And we have our shortstop who carried us much of the way the last half of the season, be suspended for bad substances.
That's a nice way to put it.
And what have we got?
Yeah.
And I don't think there was any way that you could there's not a slam dunk way that you can look at that in that context, in that chronology, and say, man, we have got to sign Dozier and Escobar no matter how much it takes, because we're about to win big with the pitching staff that we've assembled. I don't see that. I mean, I think they've got a good, you walk into a house and you say, well, it's got good bones, right? We can do something with this. I think that's where they are. But they have to have, if you walk into a house, you're going to buy a house and it's got good bones, but the master bedroom needs work, and all the kitchen appliances need to be, okay, well, then you have to have some money in the bank to be able to go fix that. They haven't had any money in the bank. They're working like crazy trying to get assets in the door so that they can put flesh around the bones. And I don't see a really good argument for doing it otherwise.
And that's the thing, is that, in my position, like every sports columnist in America, you get accused of being negative because it's your job to be critical. You're the person on the staff who has the license to be critical, to kind of explore those avenues. The reality is I've been wildly optimistic about this team for a number of years, and they've proved me wrong many times. I really believe in Buxton and Sano. As much as I criticize Sano's discipline, I believe in him as a talent. I believe in Buxton as a guy and a talent. I believe in Kepler. I believe in these guys, and you offered the best perspective I've heard on this, which is, the last 3 seasons they've had 2 good months. That's not something to cash in on. It's nice that it happened, and it can provide a window of what could be, but it hasn't been the overwhelming reality. It was a spurt.
It was and a wonderful spurt, and an exciting one, and a glimpse of what these kids can ultimately do. But let's remember that those kinds of spurts happen with all hitters. They had the great good fortune of it happening to everybody at the same time, right?
Yep.
Escobar was hot. Polanco was hot. Kepler contributed. Mauer was hot. Dozier went absolutely crazy. Mm-hmm. And those kinds of streaks happen for any individual player during the course of a season. And when you get 4 or 5 guys having career years all in one season, then you win. That's the way it works. And the reason you don't win the next year is because the law of averages say, those same 4 or 5 guys, although we know what range of performance to expect, do we think that we can expect the absolute high end of the range from all 5 guys again this year, 2 years in a row? Average law of averages percentages say these guys are going to back off a little bit. Still be great. Still be really nice. You see, their nice players are going to hit from here to here. right? Every guy's going to hit from 270 to 320, and they're going to drive in from 60 runs to 100 runs, give or take. Now, if everybody hits 320 and drives in 100, then next year you're going to have a significant number of people that hit 270 and drive in 70. And that's just the way it works. And you look at every team that ultimately wins, and look at what the Red Sox are doing this year.
Amazing.
They have a wonderful team. Look at what the Indians are doing. They have a wonderful team. Those guys on both the mound and the batter's box have proven ranges now that are a paradigm shift up from most other teams, starters and guys stepping in that batter's box. But even those guys, even the Red Sox, I mean, can we think that Mookie Betts and J.D. Martinez and the first baseman are all going to have these career years that they're having? I mean, J.D. Martinez could win the Triple Crown out of nowhere, right? He's a fine player, but he's never been this fine, and he will be again, but maybe not necessarily with all these guys right away again next year. And the same with Chris Sale or David Price or Purcell. Maybe somebody gets hurt. I mean, you just don't know. So when you look at your club and you say, okay, what did we have when we went on this spurt? We had a bunch of guys that had a career 2 months all at the same time. And up until then, we've had question marks about all of them. What have we got? We don't know. They still don't know. And so they got to the trade deadline saying, if we don't make some moves, if we sit on the fence and do nothing, then we are going to continue to not have enough asset in the minor leagues coming up. And we're going to lose Dozier, we're going to lose Escobar, and we're going to lose, whoever. Or we're going to spend a combined how much per year? $40 million a year for the two guys.
Yep.
And one of them for a 32-year-old Dozier. And now, what have we got in terms of assets, meaning cash that you're not paying out, to continue to go get other people that are going to put you over the hump? Because you're not there yet. You got the same guys that 2.5 out of 3 seasons haven't done it. So I just don't. I don't see the outrage. I can see, okay, maybe you should try to sign Dozier before the year ever starts and see if you can get him at a discount. I don't know if they did or didn't do that.
I don't think they tried, and I don't think they tried. And my information, the people I talked to, is if they had tried, Brian wasn't really in a mood to give him a huge discount. He was looking for
why would
money.
he?
No.
Yeah. Why?
I'm not saying he
absolutely. Why would he?
But there wasn't a match there.
Right. There wasn't a match, and you can be mad that you're not going to spend, $80 million or $100 million on Brian Dozier, but a lot of the same people are, just as mad that much money was spent on Joe Mauer, and the argument is now, so you can't go out and get other people. Well, now you got a 32-year-old guy that's a fine ball player and deserves to make a lot of money from somebody where the match is right. I can just see a way clear to the match not being right in Minnesota.
Right. Thanks to BerryCoffee.com. By the way, thanks to our producer, Brandon Morton. If you'd like to advertise with this show or the network, you can reach me at jsouhan47@gmail.com. We have a lot of shows kind of selling out. One thing I can say about Roy's show is it's great during the season, but I might enjoy it even more in the off season because Roy tells stories. He tells Oscar Gamble stories, tells Paul McCartney stories. We get to we still talk about all the Twins moves and the Major League Baseball moves and the postseason and everything else, but we have time to get a little goofy too, which is a lot of fun. So anyway, sponsor this program just as Berry Coffee does. We tell you about Berry Coffee all the time. Steve Brem is a friend of Roy's. I've gotten to know Steve myself. He's very community-oriented, does a lot of good works, but he also does stuff that makes sense. He does stuff that's healthy for your employees. Yes.
Well, I was just talking to Steve
cool.
the other day, and something I didn't know. Did you know that the number one beverage is water? You know what the number 2 beverage is, just in terms of sales? Tea.
Tea, really?
We talk about Berry Coffee all the time, and how wonderful the coffee is.